The company that we're going to use is going to take care of everything from the stock monitoring to the processing of the actual orders to shipping them to the customer to storing the inventory and even printing the designs and inputting the tracking number after the order is shipped. The website that we're going to cover and that I recommend using is called Printful. As you'll see in this tutorial, they're super easy to use. They have a great reputation and I use them myself. They're also super easy to set up an account with. They're super beginner friendly and they actually help walk you through the entire process of connecting Printful to your Etsy store and keeping everything synced. That means that your inventory, your designs, your sales, your customer addresses, your tracking numbers, etc., it'll all be synced together. And that means that that's less things that you have to do and less things that you need to worry about. There's a number of ways to do this. You can go incognito on a browser and simply like one of the easiest ways is to see what's suggested to you. So obviously right now, currently it's 5/25, so it's May 25th. And Father's Day is approaching. So you're going to see a lot of different Father's Day designs. So if you're going after, quick sales, a lot of demand, that might be something that you want to touch on. Although if you're going for more evergreen sales and long-term sales that you don't really need to constantly be creating designs for, you might want to avoid holidays and stuff like that, right? So for the sake of not, creating evergreen designs and not wasting, valuable time creating listings that are only good for a short period of time until that holiday obviously passes, we're going to skip that. But that's one of the easiest ways. Now, another easy way is to find a seller. So for example, like let's find one of these things that's popular right now. So Daddy's Little Helper or I Am Their Father, which is kind of a spinoff on Star Wars, obviously. You find out like one of the popular ones right here and you click it and then you reverse engineer from that seller. This seller specifically has 4,000 sales. You go to them and you see what's popular that they're selling. And then you figure out, reverse engineering, you check those specific products in there against Etsy as a whole, see if there's demand, but not enough supply to fit that demand. And that's just one of the simple ways, right? So there's a number of ways to actually approach this. And like I said, I can create entire videos on this, but I don't want to waste your time. This tutorial specifically is just how to actually go through the process of creating the print on demand mug and then uploading it using Printful to Etsy, okay? But the first step is finding an in-demand design that you can create and kind of replicate. I went through a couple and I found some cool ones. Like obviously Bath and Body Hurts is a funny play off Bath and Body Works in a mug here. So it's a similar design. Now you do need to be careful, a little caveat here, when you are creating like store designs or anything that, might potentially have an intellectual property, component to it. I actually, before I actually realized this, and I actually knew this, I don't know why I went ahead and created it. It was just kind of like a brain fart at the moment, but I made a play off like, it was like half the Target logo, obviously got an intellectual property. I think it was, IP complaint on that on my Etsy store. It was my first one. And so, hard lesson there, but you don't want to use anything like that. Now, this obviously isn't using the Bath and Body Works logo, but it is kind of walking that gray area and that fine line. So just be careful if you're going that route. If you want to be safe, I would say just completely avoid those and then you'll be fine, all right? What you first want to do is you want to make sure that, yes, there's enough demand for this, but there's also not enough supply. One of the things that you'll notice is a lot of people on the platform use this kind of mimic what's working and then create their own design for it. Now, that's totally fine because if you get in early and you start to rank that product and you get enough sales, then you're going to shoot to the top of the page for that. And you're pretty much going to be ranked there against, maybe 5 to 10 other sellers, and you're going to be siphoning off sales. And anybody that gets in late there, when there's already a lot of supply, is just going to stay on the lower pages and never really get there unless they're paying for advertising. Keep that in mind. But if you copy Bath and Body Hurts mug and you take it into Etsy, you can see that there's a number of these listings here already in both, shirts as well as mugs all over the place. So it's a bit saturated. Now you could take a shot here if you want to. Again, it only takes like a minute or two to create a design on Printful, probably realistically like 30 seconds to a minute. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take that long to design it as you get better and better at that as well. But this is a little bit saturated. So for the sake of showing you a better one, we're going to go for a better one. Now, same thing here. I found another cool mug right here and I thought this was a funny design. And here we go again. Good morning. So if you take that into Etsy, again, to just check the overall demand on the platform, you can see that a lot of people have created this design and a very, very similar design. So this is an example of a very saturated product that you don't want to create because chances are you won't be able to rank it. If we go into reverse engineering another store, and you can see that I found a store here that has a lot of very, very popular designs, and make no mistake, like popularity is a good thing, especially on Etsy, but on a number of platforms, because I would rather go after a design that's super popular, that has a lot of competition, rather than a design that has no demand at all, but no competition. Because the demand and the competition there, it tells you that there's demand there and that people are buying that, right? So I'd rather compete in a space like that than a space that has no demand at all. So, you can still go after these products. I'm not telling you not to create these designs, but ideally you'd find one with a lot of demand with not enough supply to match that demand. All right, just keep that in mind. So this person, if you check all of these, and I did obviously before this video, a good number of them, this person would be a great store to mimic and check out, because they have a lot of the top designs, and you can see that they're doing that same exact strategy. So if you literally search beach not teaching on Etsy's catalog, there's a lot of people creating that design. Same thing with this one, same thing with this one, same thing with a number of these. And that's how I basically figured out that one of the good designs here is my second, or Friday, my second favorite F word. Okay. So if you search that in the actual Etsy catalog, you can see that there's some here, but not really, right? Like feminism is my second favorite F word. Friday is, but there's not a good number of mugs that say Friday, my second favorite F word. Okay. And so there's not a lot of competition when you actually search for that on the Etsy catalog. And so we can go ahead and create that. Now there is going to be competition on, that specific saying, but you can niche down with your keywords and obviously get somebody that's searching for that specifically on a mug, and then start making sales that way. Okay. Again, there's a number of ways to actually approach this, but I'm just trying to simplify it for you in this tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward with this mug design. Basically, what we're trying to do now is we found a design that has potential, that has demand, but doesn't really seem to have the supply on Etsy to match that. And so, but what we can basically do is create a very, very similar mug design to this, upload it through Printful, who's going to do all of the work for us, and then obviously monitor the stock, ship to our customer, insert the tracking number in the back end of our Etsy store, for us. So once we create the design, it's pretty much hands off. We don't really need to worry about it. So you can either use Photoshop, that works very, very well, or you can use Canva, which is a free one that I actually pulled up here. They have the entire mug like template that you can just pull up. It's super easy to use. And then all you really want to do is you just mimic the design, right? Like you don't want to copy it 100%, but what you basically want to do is you want to take the main elements of this and then create your own kind of spin-off with like a little bit of flair and your own personality in that. Okay, so maybe you add something, maybe you slightly change something there. You're going after Friday, period, my second favorite F word. That's going to be very, very easy to recreate. So all we really need to do here is we're going to find some cursive writing, move that sideways, make it a little bit bigger. So we're going to go Friday. And you can see right here, like when you drag, they're literally telling you where the actual box and print kind of the middle of the mug is. So you kind of want to stay within that. We'll throw the little heart in there as well. And now we're going to use this template. Whoop, didn't mean to do that. And then we're simply going to add some text here. My second. And so in about a minute and a half, really easily, it took me to create and kind of replicate this design. All I really did was I switched the text around slightly, very, very slightly, added the little heart and added the little wine symbol for Friday. And you can see that this design right here is very, very similar to this one. I think it's slightly improved. Again, I didn't take that much time for the sake of showing you in this tutorial. I just want to show you like the overall strategy behind this and then leave you to creatively design whatever you want to do. But the key element here is we're not just creating random designs. You can go that route, although most of the time in my experience, it doesn't really work. Like if you have an idea and you're like, wow, that'd be really cool. If you're first to market, like yes, you're taking shots in the dark and it potentially could blow up, but the majority of the time it's never going to hit because there's not going to be that demand there. So in my experience, you want to go after proven things like this and then replicate it and put your own spin on it. All right. So now that we have the design, we're going to keep this listing up because we want to use their SEO and a lot of the keywords in their listing because clearly this listing is super popular and something's working for them, okay? Now that we have the design, we simply just want to download the design, right? So we're going to download the design as a PNG. Now that we have the design, we're going to take it into Printful. And so in Printful, what you want to do is you want to go to your store and then add a new product. Once you get there, you'll see all these designs down the side, right? Like you can create water bottles, you can create t-shirts, you can, pretty much put your logo or your design on a number of different products. Obviously, we're going after a mug here. So you want to find mug. You can even search for just mug. And then right here, you have 3 different options for mugs. We'll go with this one. It's the cheapest. We're going to drag our design or just upload your design in there. So upload a new file and bam, there you go. Now you want it to kind of stretch as much as possible because you want that design to be, really fill up the entirety of the mug that you can kind of see. Now, if you want it to be more in the middle, you can drag it down a little bit. I would say if you're, worried about it like overlapping a little bit, use caution there. Ideally with t-shirts and especially mugs as well, you want the design to fill out as much of it as potentially possible. But if you're worried about it being overlapped slightly, then go on the safer side, go a little bit smaller. It's still going to look half decent. Now, you can use lifestyle mock-ups like this, where you can kind of see the person holding the mug, or you can kind of use like mock-ups for, a specific holiday season. For example, if this was like, for Christmas, for example, well, then you could use a holiday mock-up for Christmas or Valentine's Day or Father's Day or whatever. In my experience, and this is just anecdotally, like mock-ups for t-shirts work very, very well because people want to see the t-shirt on somebody and kind of imagine what it looks like on them as well. For mugs, I found more success with mugs just with the white background. Now, that just might be an aberration, but for me, in my specific experience, mugs work better with a white background in my experience. But again, if you're doing t-shirts, then it is slightly different because most people want to envision themselves in the t-shirt before buying. And now you're basically just going to put the SEO in there, right? So you can use your own kind of SEO. You don't want to copy someone's listing word for word, but you do want to use the SEO that was successful for them and kind of mimic it off that same thing, right? So Friday, my second favorite F word, color, accent mug, metallic glitter mug. So we're going to say, and this is like, I would spend a little bit more time here, kind of maybe even researching a little bit of SEO for this, looking at a number of listings that all have this actual, design in it and have ranked well on the platform. If there's a couple of those, pick a bunch of the best keywords out of those, but I don't want to waste your time in this tutorial. I want it to be quick, but that's the best approach. And then kind of put your own spin on it. But again, use the majority of their SEO because that's what works to rank on the platform. Now, you want to keep the majority of this stuff in here. I always delete the last one that says it was made in China. You also want to make sure that like all this specific stuff is, crucial to the actual listing. If it's not, take it out. Now, right here, I keep that because this will, whether it's dishwasher safe, and they always kind of have a little caption there. But again, you want to go back to the original listing and figure out, okay, is there anything in the actual description here that you can take that fits your, like, be careful because you want to make sure it fits your design and your specific manufacturer's mug or your specific manufacturer's t-shirt if it's a t-shirt in there, right? So for example, like if they say it's an accent or it's like 12 ounces or whatever it is, like they might be using a different supplier than you, and so their item specs might be slightly different, and you want to make sure that that also applies to you. But if they have anything in here about the specific design of the mug, again, look at their SEO, figure out what works for you and what works for them, and then copy it based on that. Again, for the sake of not wasting your time in this tutorial, I'm not going to do that, but best practice would be for you to do that. Okay. Again, you don't just want to look off theirs, use theirs as a template, but use a couple other ones because those other ones have ranked on the platform, and you can combine the best elements of every single one, put them into your listing, and ideally create a better listing. Now, you're also going to want to create tags here. So put some tags in there that you think fit it. Again, same thing applies. Like look at the other listings, come up with good keywords, and then put them in there on the tags. Okay. Now's the fun part where you actually figure out what you can make on this and what to set your price at. Now, you want to look at the other people in the actual, in the space and figure out what their prices are and pretty much base your price off theirs kind of in the median. Now, if you are brand new, and chances are if you're watching this tutorial, you're brand new, you want to go on the lower side, even if you're barely making any profit, the lower side of those prices, because your beginning goal when you're actually starting isn't to make a lot of money. It's to rank your listing. It's to rank your store and get reviews. Okay. Once this listing ranks, and you'll rank it better by creating a lower price, once it's ranked, you can raise the price and it will still be ranked on the platform, and you'll be ranked higher than other people that are even lower with their prices, right? But to get this ranked in the beginning, you want to keep your price relatively low so that you're getting sales, so it builds up the search results and it moves up the pages on those search results. Once you do get sales, raise your price. That's the general strategy that's worked best for me and what I've seen kind of recommended across the board. I think it's smart. It works pretty much on every platform, but especially here when you're doing print on demand mugs and t-shirts on Etsy. So we're going to put both designs here. It's going to tell you what your printful cost is here. It's when you set the price to, it's also going to calculate on the right over here what your actual profit margin is expected to be after the cost of the actual product, after the fee from Printful, and after the shipping fee. Okay, so you should be able to see that on the right. And there you have it. Now it's good to go. As soon as it's done, all you really need to do is go back into your Etsy store, make that listing active, set your shipping template, and then you're good to go. Printful will handle all the rest of it, right? So they're going to obviously keep the mug in stock, like the blank mug. Once you get an order, they're going to print that design on the mug. They're then going to grab the actual address from the order because they're connected to the back end of your actual Etsy store, ship the mug with the printed design to that customer, and then input the tracking number as well into your Etsy store. So you don't need to do anything unless you get a message about it or something like that, right? So this is one of the easiest ways to get started with drop shipping online. It's also within the terms of service on Etsy, so you can build like a long-term sustainable business doing this. You don't need to store any inventory. You don't need any upfront money, obviously minus the 20 cents that it takes you to create the Etsy listing. And if you don't have 20 cents per listing to get started, like chances are you shouldn't be starting a business, let alone an online drop shipping business where you need to spend money to make money. But the best part about drop shipping is, like, again, you don't need the inventory, but you also don't need to spend the money until you're guaranteed the sale and the profit.